guys, and welcome to a new Wargame video today by me, Vulcan. Today I have you a 4 versus 4 on Back to Inchon, and on this one we are going to be playing on the red side. We're going to be playing red 4, and it's myself, Valh, Wallace and Bets against Super Washington J, EU Banana, RD and Rack Veteran. So this is quite an interesting game. We jumped into a lobby, myself, Valh and friends, and basically we're playing against randoms. So we did have the sort of team advantage, but we certainly put a handicap on ourselves. This time round, I'm playing an Entente Airborne deck. Bets is playing a Finnish Marine deck. We have Valh, who I believe is trying a Red Dragon Armoured deck, which actually isn't too bad. And then we do also have a West German Mechanized deck from Wallace, so that's also pretty decent. But in this one, basically what we're going to see, there is a massive expanse of water on this right side. And myself and Bets basically took it upon ourselves to take the 2-pointer at Lima. So across the rest of the map, they're all 1-pointers, right? You have Charlie, Delta, Echo, Golf, all 1-pointers. So contesting those only sways the points by +1 or +2. Unless, obviously, you can push all the way through and contest Juliet and Foxtrot. But that's pretty unlikely on this map. However, on this right side, these 2 points can be pretty important. Especially when you have a couple players trying to defend them. So I'm just going to put it to my point of view so we can see what's going on. So far, we have Valh setting up his deck on the left side here. He's going to be defending sort of from this tree line, trying to put some pressure onto Golf. He's also going to be covering Echo from that left side. And that's not too particularly hard to do, but he does need to make sure he's not going to get flanked. And he also needs to be careful that nothing really hits him from the right side either. Like the extreme right can be a bit of an issue. Now over here we do have Wallace. He's going to have to try and defend Charlie from any pushes with his West German mechanized deck, which is also going to be pretty difficult, but luckily there are bridges here which do funnel the troops quite a lot. This town allows you to defend this bridge quite nicely, and also you do have the tree lines here and this sort of building compound to defend from. Now, here at Boris, we are underway. As you can see, we've started with a lot of helicopters. Bets' Finnish Marine deck is starting with a lot of Super Pumas, and he does have Mi-8 TKTs, which are some really awesome Finnish helicopters. They have the really fast-firing auto cannons. If we go onto the information tab there, you can see they have the sort of really fast-firing 20mm auto cannon. Then I have a couple of Gamma 2s which have infrared AA, and they're going to be trying to take out this Tiger. I also have a Hera 2. I've got some HT-40s to have manpad squads in them. This MiG-29 912B from Valh comes in and takes down that helicopter for us. But yeah, a couple of HT-40s. We've also got Mi-8Ts. And I'm going to be showcasing a lot of Yugoslavian infantry here. Hera's come up and is going to try and take down this Iltis Kado that was going to capture Leonid to try and give us the +2 advantage from the get-go. And we've already got it, since we are capturing Anna and they are not capturing Leonid. So, Bets' Super Pumas get there first. They are very fast helicopters, and here come all of my units. Got some Mi-4Ts, which are very slow helicopters, but they're following up in the back line. Bets' Mi-8 TKTs are getting shot down by the enemy flak panzers. Over on this left side, Valh has met his match. Super Washington J is going to be fighting against him for the majority of the game. Over on this right side, you can see Wallace spreading out with his units. But a fast push from RD to try and take this town should give him some presence on this left side of centre, so that should be a pretty nice place for the enemy team to set up. I have brought a HT-40 here that's going to land and drop off some troops. I've also left some Konkurs M's here to help Valh on this right side of Fedor, just in case anything comes across the open here. These Konkurs M's have a really nice line of sight to fire at anything. Now I can take my time to talk about certain things in this game purely for the fact that you can see all of our units have now landed on this right side. I have some Padobranci 90, I have some Vizokari, of course, because we are playing an Entente deck, so that's going to give us Czech and Yugoslavian units. And over here you can see Bet's flying forwards his Super Pumas. They're actually going to find this Iltis Kado and try and push that away. As soon as they get on target, they're going to put down a lot of damage. We've got the rockets coming in from a HT-40, and that's going to take out their command vehicle. So that's going to give us a +2 lead. Over here you can see I'm bringing in a MiG-912A. That's going to be bringing in some thermobaric napalm onto this town, which was fast dropped into by the opponents. So 1 unit of Padobranci, a couple units of Vizokari, going to start moving through this forest to try and clear that out for Wallace on that left side. In the meantime, the Super Puma is going to get cleaned up by some anti-air. And now basically what we've got to do is try and keep our presence on this right side so that we can stop them from recapturing Leonid. And as long as we have a presence sort of in this tree line, it basically stops them from bringing in anything here. And my Gamma 2 there is going to blow up this Hawk, which is a really nice kill. But this BO-105P, these have Stinger missiles, and they are going to be able to counter my approaching Mi-8Ts, which are sort of rushing them down to try and get some kills onto these lighter units. The Mi-4Ts there, going to be trying to fall back. Don't necessarily want to waste them until I have to, because what we can do is just swarm the helicopters over to the left side every time they try and put a command vehicle in there, or at least that's the idea. So a couple of M2A2 Bradleys on the left side here, causing some issues for Wallace. He's going to have to keep his units in these tree lines. Trying to make a little scouting attempt across the water here. Got a really nice, very good recon unit, providing some sight, and then this Flampanzer. But with this M91A1, it's going to be pretty hard for this Flampanzer to make any ground. If this hits its target, it's going to 25 AP power, is going to really do some damage. Super Galeb coming in there, going to take out both of the Bradleys. J7H from Valh was going to drop a 1,000 kilogram bomb onto that area. Here we go, Padobranci and Vizokari trying to get forwards and take out this Super Chinook, which was resupplying a lot of the infantry in this town after they got bombed. Here we can see EU Banana and Ardi both using this town as a forward staging post to attack us from, and that's giving them a lot of pressure in the middle, which is why I'm going to have to help Wallace there a little bit. But over on this right side, our attack is still continuing, and you have to consider that we are using a Finnish Marine deck and an Entente Airborne that kind of like restricts the power of Yugoslavia quite significantly, and also like you can see Betts is just relying on these really powerful recon infantry, the Aerokoistra Yukari. So my Padobranci moving forward is going to take out a couple of Quartz Marineers. They got hit pretty hard by my HT-40s with these 57mm rockets, and now I'm just going to go for the run onto the left side. So he's bringing in all these BO-105Ps, but they can't hit my infantry, so I'm pretty free to run forwards and stop them from doing any serious damage to me. But the UH-14s with those machine guns can catch me out in the open, and so far they have been. But I'm just trying to run them down. Obviously helicopter's going to be faster than infantry, but it's worth trying to kill them, because running back now would just give him more time to shoot at me. So you can see the Vizokari are slowly catching up, forcing him to move back slightly, kind of kiting my units. But it's basically giving me more and more ground, and I just want to get infantry into this forest here to make things a bit interesting. Maybe I can push around onto Constantine and put some pressure on there, but this was basically me just trying to have a bit of fun here. I obviously could have camped in this tree line and stopped them from getting in Leonid for the rest of the game, but where's the fun in that, right? We've got to keep pushing. You've got to just run across the open with a bunch of infantry without smoke, and it's probably the worst idea. If I was to do this again, I would probably get some maybe long-range artillery to provide some smoke support, because having them out in the open like this is just asking for them to get killed. I'm surprised no bombers really came in at this point. But we do have an AH-64 escort. Really good response. My two Mi-8s going down there to the enemy BO-105Ps. Su-22 M4P coming in from Wallace. It's going to take one shot but get out just fine. And now we have an Apache to deal with as well. So an AH-64 escort has already ripped apart a couple of my Visicari squads, and now the Apache's going to take out my Padabranci. But Valh's coming in with the J7Hs, and the bombs are going to hit the mountain and blow the crap out of that Apache. Really nice air support there from Valh, and he's also got his MiG-29 on the case to try to take out this escort. Here go the other missiles. MiG-29's doing a fantastic job there. F-16A MLU gets stunned by this MiG. That was really lucky, and allows both of the MiGs to get out alive. So now some Fullscreen. They are going to be targeting my Visicari, but the Padabranci can still do a serious amount of damage with their machine gun. And as you can see, because the Fullscreen aren't targeting the Padabranci, as soon as the Padabranci engage, we're chewing up the Fullscreen. Make sure you always target the elites, guys, because that's what happens. So I actually made some ground there when I probably shouldn't have at all. Now these HT-40s are going to get targeted by this Chaparral. Going to try and get one out of range. Fortunately, the Chaparral has to reload, so I can get that away. It's useful to keep the rocket helicopters alive. Over here, though, massive air engagement. Valh's coming in with J7Hs, Tornado F3s. Oh, one of the J7Hs goes down, but the bombs are still dropped. Didn't particularly do too much damage as far as I know, and those Eagles and the MLU there trying to do their best. I brought in an L19 to try and respond to that, but it was a bit late. I was kind of I had to save and bring that in on just as I got enough points, so there was a bit of bad timing there. But my Visicari are going to come forward, get a few kills onto APCs and so on. More Visicari trying to run across the open, going to get targeted down by the AMX-13 and the Cannon Jagdpanzer. And like that's these sort of cheap units. Like this thing only costs like 20 points. And then this thing is, again, I think 30 points, yeah. But it has 13 rounds per minute with 3 HE power. Really good for like cleaning up infantry, pushing across the open. And I think what happened is they realized that we basically could only have infantry over here because we're using, obviously, Marines and Airborne. So we've got helicopters and we have lots of infantry. So there's a pretty easy way to counter that is just AA and light vehicles, right? So we're you know, trying our best here, trying to do our best. I brought some Strela 10Ms now across to here. I've resupplied them with fuel just before they're making this long trek across the water. You can see they're moving very slowly, amphibiously moving across to the other side. HT-40 going to come in and get some resupply. I've got my Gamma 2s here also being repaired and resupplied now from this HT-40 supply shopper. But here comes a push. These PVADs moving forwards, going to try and take out the KHS Mi-24P and probably going to succeed. The PVADs there just does a ton of damage, has a crazy high DPS against helicopters. You can see I've actually got some Mi-4Ts on this right side. Basically the reason I'm keeping these here is if they try and put a CV in the left side of Leonid, I'll just rush them across and that'll sponge up any sort of AA, and then I can bring in like proper helicopters behind it to maybe try and take out their command vehicle. Now you can also see something that we probably should have done a lot sooner, which is bring in our own command unit. So I have this Gazelle here packed with command infantry, and they're going to come in and be dropped into the backside of Leonid hopefully, but because the PVADs are now in range of the backside there, I'm going to have to drop it a bit farther back. I do have an Su-7B that I brought in just here. You can see it does get away from the F-16A MLU, but my L19 going to hit a stun shot onto that F-16 and shoot it down. Allows my MiG-29 to come in with the 4 thermobaric napalm bombs. That's going to block the road, kill a track rapier. The PVADs goes down to Wallace's Su-22, and now an Su-22 M4. Going to take out one Bradley, but unfortunately gets shot down. I also have a Yastreb come in. That was going to try and lay a really nice napalm line down this road, but unfortunately the smoke actually blocked its line of sight onto that fire mission, so it didn't actually fire off its payload, which sucks. But there we go. I believe it wasn't a fire position order as well, but it just got blocked off by the smoke, which was really interesting. Didn't know that could happen. Anyway, the Gazelle now coming in, now that we've dealt with a lot of the AA. And I'm going to drop it just slightly shy of the backside of Leonid, just so I make sure I'm out of range. And then that will sort of just drop in there, get us the cap, and we'll all be good. So now the enemy started to invest quite heavily on pushing back into Leonid. They realised that this +2 lead can't last too long. Su-25K there going down from Valh. Very expensive helicopter or aircraft to lose. But that just happened. We've still got the +2 lead, obviously, until they capture this back, which they just did. But now we're at a 300-point lead overall. So they're in a bit of a tough spot. They need to push all the way back, and they do have to go up against Betts' elite infantry here. Over here, the attack kind of stopped into center because they started putting so much effort into bringing things back on this right side. You can see that you have Rack Veteran, EU Banana, RD, 3 players all trying to focus now on taking units out on this right side. Su-22 M4P from Wallace is doing work, and that's going to get off its second radar missile, unfortunately missed, which does leave it open to the kills from the F-16A MLU. After it fired its first seed missile, probably should have been taken away. We lose 2 bombers there as well to those F-16A MLUs, so really good job by Rack Veteran to get those in and regain air control. Valh brings in his own MiG-29s in response, and here comes our big airstrike. I brought in 2 Su-7Bs. They both fire at the same target, unfortunately, but that does get rid of a Gepard. One of our planes does go down. The 2 J7Hs do get out alongside the Su-7B. Now we have some artillery from our side helping us out. Betts invested in some pretty heavy artillery. And we also have Wallace here investing in some as well. Just to basically artillery this road as infantry comes in. Now you can see me bringing in these supply helicopters. They're going to try and resupply and repair the elite squads of Betts, just so that we can try and hold this as long as possible. The artillery there, I believe, does possibly take out the enemy command vehicle, or it kind of forced it to move at least. So now we have this +2 lead still, since we are neutralizing Leonid. But ideally, with this captured, we get +4 lead, and that just is even better. So since a lot of the infantry just died in this left side forest, my MiG-29s come in with the thermobaric napalm and try and drop onto the US Marines that will push forwards. Avia does go down from Betts, unfortunately, due to all of the AA that they are taking advantage of. These MI8 KTs are going to get rid of the Lynx AH-7s before they can rocket my supply choppers. And that napalm wall does allow those time to take off and land just behind instead. So we move back 1 tree line, and that allows them to keep resupplying the town and also the forest there. So F-16A block comes in, and I believe takes out a Strela that was just sort of landed on the other side of the river. But we still have these 2 Strela 10s on their way, and they're going to eventually get into Leonid at some point. But now we're on to 400 points. I'm still bringing in some reinforcements. You can see that 2 Mi-4Ts just landed on the shore here. There's a Ikari running towards Leonid once again. And we were having loads of fun just making this work. You can see just how hard the opponents are trying to push back on us. But we are pretty dug in on this right side sector, and we do have a lot of aircraft to almost help us out and delay their attack. That Roland 3 does get into a really nice position on the flank there, but is almost forced to retreat. Mi-4T is now forced to push forwards to try and soak up some missiles. Kahu comes in, managed to just destroy one of my Strela 10Ms on the water. And now my Vizicari running out into the open. What a terrible idea. They get absolutely wrecked. HT40 also going to go down here. These Pivads doing work. SU-7B going to try and get the kill, but unfortunately misses. L-19 trying to regain cover in the skies, but going to evac that. And now an F-111C coming in to bomb the town. And that's going to land its bombs directly onto my Vizicari and the CV. Really nice bombing strike there. Going to give back Leonid to the opponents. But you may notice that they are just now at +0. Or we are at +0. So what they would need to do now is take Gregory or Center in order to actually make a difference in this game. Or maybe even take Anna, but that's not going to happen, let's be honest. So yeah, we have a 443 point lead, and even if they manage to clean out Leonid entirely now, you know, it's game over pretty much. We've made the difference we needed to make. Both of my planes going down there, L-15M, trying to bring in the bombs and the cluster munitions. It managed to drop the cluster munitions, but not the high explosive bombs, so the Pivas doesn't actually die there, when it probably should have. Got some Mi-4Ts now running across, covering my Mi-25 S24, and you can see that HGM made a funny move there. But these are going to soak up some PVAD's fire for no apparent reason. I believe I just threw them in there for the sake of it at this point in the game. But this Strela 10M, you should watch that. That does a lot of work. And more infantry coming in. Now you've got to realise that I do have a lot invested in my Air Force. We've got some Delphins coming in here, and we've got some SU-7Bs to cover them. These Delphins, they have two 250 kilogram bombs, and you can see they all break off there as I give them fire position orders. They're coming in for their bombing strikes, but there is a lot of AA. And unfortunately, none of these Delphins are getting out alive. Poor guys. But they did land their bombs very close to these LVTPs. Now we have the artillery coming in as well, covering the troops in the town, trying not to let anybody approach. They're just spamming the road with artillery to make sure that nothing happens there. Strela 10M going to try and get a shot onto this FC-15C Eagle. Now some more Super Pumas coming in from Bets. They're just going to get shot out the sky, and goodbye to those infantry squads. L-19 comes in, gets a wonderful kill onto that aircraft. Unfortunately, takes a lot of damage and does go down from the Gepard and the PVADs as it flies overhead. But the damage is done. We did manage to make them move their command unit for a little while. But I do have a new one coming in. And basically, as soon as we get this into the point again, we can start to get the points going, +2, and we should get victory. But yeah, they've basically worked out how to counter this quite hard now. Obviously having enough AA to stop our helicopters, and then having light vehicles and infantry to wipe out the rest of the forces in Leonid. That's what they got to do. They just got to cover off as much of this as they can. They're bringing in a spare command vehicle just so that they can't be decapped. But yeah, the Gazelle kind of going to come in, and that's going to neutralize the sector at least, even if we can't destroy both of their command vehicles. Also now in the middle, little bit of pressure being put on by Wallace. So obviously, since we've had like 3 players move to this side to try and defend that, Wallace is actually going to make quite a lot of ground here. He is going to get caught out by the HGM vehicles. Like, being out in the open like this is pretty difficult. The HGM, they're going to take out his recon as well, so it's going to get even harder. And the AH-1J Cobra there, you know, the grenade launcher on that is going to easily just harass these Motschutzen all the way into the tree line. Now some Stutztruppen coming up against the Ranico Yakari here. Artillery going to come in and basically just putting a lot of pain onto that squad. Still survives, surprisingly. You can see just how much AA they have. Gonna shoot down one of our helicopters. My Strela 10M is going to take down a couple of theirs. And now we have the command infantry back into the same place. Just going to move it one tile forwards so that I can dodge bombs easier by going to multiple different sectors around it. More Mi-4Ts coming in. And what I was going to say earlier is that you got to realise that since we are using like an airborne deck, our transport is not very cost efficient. You can see they are bringing in bombers here, these Tornado 1 IDSs with the 500 kilogram bombs to try and snipe our CV. I don't think they reckoned we would put it back in the same place. They kind of double bluffed themselves, which was quite amusing. But yeah, the Vizicari in the Mi-4Ts, like the Mi-4Ts are 15-point transport helicopters, whereas like you can bring in a Vizicari squad in like a 10-point APC, or even, I don't know about a 5-point APC, but you know, it's definitely more expensive to bring stuff in helicopters, especially Mi-8Ts with rockets. But either way, the Strela 10M still shooting down enemy transport helicopters. Also the Airborne Yukari here, the elite recon infantry from Betz, doing a great job. THS Mi-24D is going to try and put a lot of hurt onto the Delta Force, just out of range of the PVADs. And look how many craters there are here. So many bombs, so much artillery coming in. But as the +2 ticks to the conquest victory points, we win the game. After 23 minutes and 35 seconds, the kills were very close. We actually won the game with a negative kill death, which was quite something. Over on the left side, Valh did a great job of defending, 1,575 kills to 960 losses. Betz did a great job, somehow managed to go incredibly well with the Finnish Marine deck. Like those SAS on steroids, the recon infantry, they seriously did a lot of work, killing a lot of infantry, killed a lot of APCs, killed a lot of helicopters, and yeah, great job there by Betz. Got a serious amount of kills. I didn't do so well with my own deck, mainly because I threw away so much of that infantry at the start of the game, just running across the field with no smoke support. That was probably not the best idea, but I was having fun at the time, so that's all that mattered. And Wallace, he did a pretty good job, especially considering he was double pressured at the start of the game on that like right center side. But there you go. You can see my Gamma's got a nice amount of kills with their HGMs and AA. And then most of the kills are pretty split up between a lot of my infantry, then some aircraft kills and so on. Plenty of kills for the Strela 10M. Shot down at Tornado F3, got a Lynx AH7, got 2 Dorniers with Fallschirmjäger squads in it. So that Strela 10M really paid itself off. But there we have it, guys. That was a really fun game that I really enjoyed playing. And I've got another one for you guys next, but in the meantime, guys, hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.